Hello and welcome to episode 23 of Election Countdown. Today I have Maz Worswick from the Tab and Laurence Smith, Chairman of the Conservative Association at University of Sheffield. Today we're going to talk about the alt-right. They've been growing in recent years, particularly since the election of Donald Trump. What makes up the alt-right?
It's a myriad of different political philosophies and activist groups. You've got everything from your shit posters on 4chan as an activist group, right through to what was called the Dark Enlightenment Neo-Reactionaries, which was a group that was born out of the form of techno-libertarianism. So there's a guy down at Warwick University called Nick Land, who was really the forefather of the Dark Enlightenment, which is all about a rejection of liberalism, a rejection of the Enlightenment, a rejection of Whig history. So it's really a full-on mix, and then you check into the mix, white nationalists, paleo-libertarians, paleo-conservatives, anti-globalists, and you put a bit of a sprinkling of nativism, and you've pretty much got the alt-right.
I mean, Maz, you interviewed Paul Joseph Watson.
Yeah.
What was your overall view of his kind of philosophy?
I thought it was quite interesting, really, because he's really tried to distance himself from being linked with the alt-right, because he finds that a lot of it is very anti-Semitic, which he doesn't really want to be related to with, and so he's tried to distance himself from the whole movement. But I think that it varies from country to country. I think that the alt-right here is seen very differently to how it is in America. I think that in America it's a lot more to do with white nationalists, whereas I think that here it's a bit more kind of, kind of watered down, I suppose you'd say.
I mean, do you think they've had a greater influence in places like America than they have here? Because a lot of pages like InfoWars tend to be around the USA and not.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think the British alt-right is, in part because it's not managed to get a foothold in a large political campaign where it can really make its mark. It managed that with Trump. But if you take even Brexit, which was really its best opportunity to do such a thing, when did you see an article in a newspaper about the alt-right influence in the Brexit campaign? I can't honestly recall.
Do you think the, in a sense, dangerous, however, because of their links to high anti-immigrant, high anti-Semitism and anti-Islam links? Do you think the people that are commenting are most dangerous, or the people actually making the videos?
I think probably the people who are commenting, the people who make the videos, you're able to access them, you're able to interview Paul Joseph Watson and ask for clarification about his views. Whereas people who are just commenting behind their keyboards, you can't really track all of them down and ask them, why do you think that? So as someone, as a journalist who has gone out and spoken to people like Paul Joseph Watson, I think they're dangerous.
I mean,
it's the same thing if you look at radical Islamists. It's not the radical imams who make horrendous videos based out over in the Middle East. They're not the ones who take actions. It's the people who watch and listen and their followers who take action. I imagine, was this something which you put to Paul Joseph Watson? I haven't personally read the interview, I certainly will now. But did you ask him about what does he think of his own audience? Because I would find it fascinating to see how somebody who has quite the scale of viewership he has, what he makes of some of the stuff that gets said in the comment sections on his videos, which is far, far worse than the stuff that he himself actually talks about. I
mean, I've always found, personally, I've found his actual videos bad enough in themselves, because what he essentially does is he creates a kind of sensationalist atmosphere around issues to do with immigration, issues to do with almost changing culture in a more multicultural country. And take something like the Manchester attack, rather than saying this is an isolated incident, this is just one individual, simply by blowing it out of proportion into this is an entire problem with Islam in itself, and by not drawing attention to, but saying that, you know, there aren't just Muslim rape gangs in this part of the country, but they're everywhere, and therefore there's an entire religious problem. Do you think that in itself creates hate and kind of vilifies a lot of the more extreme parts of the right?
I don't think that Paul Joseph Watson is actually that extreme. I know a lot of people who are on the left who agree, who watch his videos, who originally, having read, you know, what they do read in The Guardian about him, think, oh no, I would never agree with what he says. And then in actual fact, they watch some of his videos and they think, actually, it kind of scares them a bit, because they think, well, actually, yeah, I agree with that. So I don't think that he is that radical, but I think that it does attract, because he's the only one really that I can think of in the UK. I think that he does attract a wide audience, and of that audience, they're a bit more different.
Yeah, I'd say the only other UK figure that really jumps out is Milo, who spends forever and a day trying to distance himself from the alt-right. He says, I'm considered of the alt-right, I'm not a member of it. To some degree, I think he's actually probably right. You know, he himself is, for example, I think he's got Jewish heritage. And you know, when you take the alt-right, I think you mentioned already how anti-Semitic it is. You know, it's easy to see that actually there does seem to be some points where we can divide quite clearly people who hold alt-rightish attitudes, and I think Milo does, and actually being part of alt-right. But beyond that, the only other person I can think of who kind of comes across in the UK, who makes the kind of what they believe to be very honest statements about, for example, Islamic immigration into the country and what they think the effect of it is someone like Douglas Murray. And Douglas Murray is very much more polished and certainly doesn't attract quite as radical an audience as I think Paul does, and certainly not as radical as Milo has.
What about someone like Stefan Molyneux? There we go. Yeah, Stefan Molyneux.
I think highlights the particularly odd group of the alt-right, the group that I find particularly odd, which is people who were very much libertarian. So, libertarian in the American sense, who would have fit perfectly within the Libertarian Party lines in the US, who've taken on this far more, you know, almost nationalist zeal, because they're like, well, we're trying to now defend the values that we uphold, so, you know, the ideas of, you know, liberty and property and pursuit of happiness. They now see that there's a challenge to that. So what they see as very libertarian values they're trying to defend, and the direction they've gone in is one which leads them down to, you know, rubbing shoulders with white nationalist groups, because they're both about defending the values that they think are under attack.
What about some of the videos that get out there where it says, oh, areas where there's high amounts of immigration, there's high amounts of crime, for example? Because, I mean, for someone like me on the left, where, I mean, I'm not a distance myself, I'll come on to what I think the old left is later on, but from kind of the more Marxist left perspective, I always say, look, the reason that there are higher crime rates in areas of high immigrant populations is because those areas tend to be poorer, not because it's necessarily down to race, but by racializing crime and by racializing poverty, what these people are actually doing is saying that there's high rates of crime not because of poverty and not because of deprivation, but because of race.
Well, since the Manchester attacks 1 week ago, I noticed that a lot of news publications refer to groups as communities. So you have a Christian community, you have a Muslim community, you have a Hindu community, and there's all these different kind of separations and trying to divide people. But in actual fact, we all just live in the same community, really. We just have different beliefs. Like, you could say you're in a conservative community, but in actual fact, we're all just the same people, all in the student community. But ultimately, I think it's down to inequality. I think that it's underestimated how angry a lot of young people are, who are, growing up in different areas, be they in Manchester or Liverpool or...
I mean, how would you as a Conservative come at this? Because, I mean, obviously you'd say inequality is a problem, but at the same time immigration is a problem from a Conservative perspective.
I mean, with immigration is something which actually the last Labour government, I think, did something quite smart to try and address, which was they made funds available to communities which were finding it difficult to maintain public services with a large inflow of immigration. Sudden population changes in small areas will put a strain on services that people rely on. And I think it was wrong of the coalition to get rid of those funds. I think it was, what Labour government had there was right. So first of all, there's clearly going to be an impact. If you have immigration into the community, there will be an impact. You can't pretend that there won't be. The question is, A, should you be willing to accept that impact? And B, if you're willing to accept the impact, should you be willing to try and do something to address it, like the Labour government did? It's a balancing act between, we think we need to regain control over quite what the numbers are, because when you start getting into the scale of net migration of upwards of 300,000, even me as somebody who's fairly liberal on this and fairly open borders and fairly free flow immigration, I say, well, don't be surprised that it starts being a strain. And that's not one which I think is a cultural strain. I think it is one which is about public services. And then the thing that you get is that you see this right across, for example, east of England, where people translate their grievances about public services, about local economy and change local labour markets. They translate that into, well, these people are responsible, and I also don't like the fact that they're a little bit culturally different. And then that just exacerbates it. So I would actually be blurring towards the angle that you take on it, which is, yeah, actually to a certain degree, this is an economic problem at the end of the day. And if there are any cultural friction there, that cultural friction is going to be amplified by there being other problems there as well.
Maz?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's just move on. UKIP. Are they alt-right? Because they did identify at one point as a libertarian party.
We're talking about going back to Alan Sked here. Alan Sked, who teaches in history down at the LSE. And it was originally called the Anti-Federalist League. It was against the federalisation of Europe. And I mean, it's always maintained its anti-federalist positioning. It's just changed an awful lot since. I would say that I think Nigel Farage is individually libertarian. He's in favour of deregulation of cannabis, decriminalisation of cannabis. But the best way I've found of describing Nuttall is that he's gone Le Pen. So, he's talking about burqa bans, talking about genital checks for FGM. And yeah, it's like saying, under him, I wouldn't be surprised if certainly the membership of UKIP goes in a bit more of an alt-righty direction.
Yeah, I think that if the UKIP was the USA IP, I think that it would be a lot more alt-right seen in American terms. But I'm not sure if it is at the moment in British terms. Maybe it attracts that audience, but...
I mean, we saw close connections between Nigel Farage and Donald Trump, who was, in a sense, an alt-right candidate. Do you think, in a sense, the alt-right in this country is more subtle in their language and yet not so much as different in policy?
Yeah, I think that in general, like, British society isn't as crude or as extreme as America can be. I think that people are a lot more discreet about their true opinions and what they really think. I think that there's a lot of kind of maybe more censorship, you could say. Not censorship, but maybe a bit more kind of control.
Sensibility.
About kind of, we don't have things like Fox News. We have Sky News, but it's not really as extreme as Fox is. And like they accused Obama of having a terrorist handshake. It's like you shouldn't really get that in the UK.
The other thing is that over in the US, amongst the youth, there is a lot more of the pool that the alt-right can fish in over in the US amongst the youth, so the online youth as well, is far greater than it is over there. Yeah, there isn't quite as a dramatic group of young, radical, populist rights individuals that you get over in the US, and in part maybe that's down to the fact that Christian fundamentalism and these kind of more traditionalist bents aren't as present among the youth in the UK as they are amongst the youth in the US. But the odd one on that, I would say, is if you look at what happened in France, where the youth, over a quarter of them, wasn't it, voted for Le Pen.
I mean, if UKIP was a sort of mainstream alt-right party, are they now having an effect on the Conservative Party? Because if you look particularly at Theresa May, she's had an almost Donald Trump approach of saying, oh, Europe is against me over Brexit. Other political parties are against me over Brexit. There's outside forces against me over Brexit, so we need this election to strengthen my hand, despite Europe saying, well, we don't really care, we want you to just get on with it. Do you think the alt-right has had an effect on the Tories?
No, I mean, the alt-right are Eurosceptic, don't get me wrong, but first of all, they're Eurosceptic from a very, very different angle. They're a lot more about, they see the EU representing the worst of the globalists, the worst of destruction of Western cultural values, because they blame the EU for importing Islamic immigration from the Middle East. So first of all, the alt-right, the reason why the alt-right are Eurosceptic is very different to the reasons why a lot of people in the Conservative Party are Eurosceptic. The second thing is, while that rhetoric may very well be true, and I think that to a certain extent is true, I believe that Lib Dems definitely want to scupper Brexit. The SNP, God knows what they want. All they want is independence for Scotland one way or another, and are actually fairly Europhile, so I don't trust them on Brexit. And for Labour, I'm honestly still not wholly sure what the Labour strategy is on Brexit.
We want to leave, but we want it to be a nice leave. Keep all the workers' rights and everything. So I think we're with the majority of the population where we have to leave, but let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater.
We're not suggesting to throw the baby out with the bathwater. It's just that people don't seem to understand whether Labour are in favour of actually stopping free movement for people, like just the right of free movement, because you need to accept that right in order to have full single market membership. You don't necessarily need to have that right in order to have reasonable single market access. So the Labour's position on this is somewhat confusing, but all this is about whether or not I think the rhetoric which you're pointing to is appropriate. I think
let's bring you in before we start debating.
I think that a lot of people who voted for Brexit, of which I know that you are one, as a Labour supporter as well, would maybe be worried about having Jeremy Corbyn discussing Brexit with these big leaders. And I think that's probably why Theresa May called an election, was because, not necessarily because she thought that she'd win just because they were the better party, but because she thought, well, people are more likely to trust her over leading Brexit negotiations than they are to trust.
But is this where kind of could argue the alt-right has had an effect, because people think strength is everything, but Jeremy Corbyn has been out there trying to talk various socialist parties within Europe about negotiation.
I think that you look at UKIP and you think the reason they have been so successful over the past kind of at least 10 years, if not more, is that they had Nigel Farage, who was just a good leader. Agree with him or not, I agree with him, but he was a good leader. And I think that now that they've got Paul Nuttall, I don't think it'll be as strong. I think that a lot of people just think, what an idiot. Called that all three women Natalie the other day. I mean, none of them were called Natalie. Like, what are you doing?
I mean, as a Scouser, I mean, I can say we have disowned him.
Yeah.
Moving on from the alt-right, do you think there's been a development almost of the alt-left? That there's a post-truth left, and that we saw that, first of all, with Brexit, where a lot on the left were saying the EU is everything good and everything pure in the world, and we must remain because it'd be a vote for fascism. And do you think there's almost an alt-left on university campuses where they're saying, oh, anyone who is a white person who has dreadlocks is instantly racist? Do you think there's an alt-left that's kind of...
I mean, the internet jargon for that is SJW, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't like to use that term.
Don't worry.
Because it's like social justice warrior, like pejorizing people who believe in social justice. But at the same time, there's no other word, and that's why I think alt-left.
I would say that I would be cautious calling them alt-left, but certainly the identitarian left, people who seem to see every problem as an issue of some kind of conflict of identities. So, why does the gender pay gap exist? It's because of men and patriarchy, and men are to blame, and you need to break this down in order to address the wage gap, and then you can put this in wider other terms. And this is the stuff which the alt-right very much reacts heavily to. And it's almost got to the stage where I think that you can argue that the two of them need each other. The alt-right to get, to attract, especially online, to attract especially young white males. I mean, over in the US, it would be young male wasps. Young male wasps are the alt-right, American alt-right's perfect, perfect recruiting ground. And these are the guys that very much react very badly to the kind of ideas So these are the people who react very badly to what you describe as the alt-left. So, and I'd say that it's got to the stage where the two of them need each other in order to continue to survive.
But I think that going back to what you said about the wasps, the young men in America, I think that you look at them and you think, well, they're really angry as well, because you look at their fathers and their grandfathers, and they were working in the coal mines, and now you go and there's nothing there. In Flint, they don't even have clean water, or at least they didn't during the election. So you think there's a lot of anger there. I think that's what is easy to tap into. But going back to the alt-left, I think that the alt-left, to me anyway, in my head, it has a different definition of how you describe it. So I think that the alt-left are kind of the realist left, in that they are the ones who are in the left but are trying to distance themselves from Blair and from the kind of Labour Party traditionally. Well, I say traditionally, Labour Party over the last kind of 15 years. And I think that they're the ones who maybe voted for Brexit because they are kind of going back to what the Labour Party was like in the 80s and what the left as a group were like in the 80s and 70s.
That's almost sounding like what the hard-left Corbynistas. That's almost what that sounds like. Going back to if they were around in the 1970s, they would have been called Benites.
I mean, I'm not so sure because
I think that's why I'm cautious of you calling that alt-left.
Because I think what's happening is there's a lot of people on the left who are ditching socialism, ditching Marxism out of fear of repercussion. And so in response to taking on board all of the extreme social policies of extreme feminism, extreme in other terms, and it's a lot of anger in no particular direction. But a Marxist like me would say, well, there's an economic foundation that causes racism, that causes sexism, and if you don't solve that economic foundation, you can't then solve these other issues.
Yeah.
And that's
I mean, we've moved on in. I very much say that some of the recent elections have been fought on grounds of parties competing on values, not competing on economics. If we go back to the 70s and 80s, they were competing on the grounds of economics. Yeah. Do we continue with post-war consensus, or do we shift to a radical new form of that staturism or racism?
we're struggling to get any more liberal in a sense. After we've kind of fought for trans rights, after we've fought for the rights of minorities, where does, without going into the realms of socialism and economic policy, where does the left go if there's no economic?
I think Corbyn's done some good job of dragging that. Yeah. When I think anti-austerity now, I think Corbyn. Yeah. 5 years ago, when we were still before the 2015 election, anti-austerity to me was resigned to a cabal of small hard-left groups, whereas Corbyn and McDonnell have done a great deal of bringing it into the mainstream. If anything, I'd say that you're in a position where you're going towards, again, a situation of an election being fought on economics. I think that 2022 will be fought on economics, depending how Brexit goes.
Yeah, I think that ultimately the thing that I kind of notice when I speak to different people is that they always do it on economic terms. And I think that they still do. I think that maybe to a point some people might disagree with Theresa May saying go home on the other side of a van. But ultimately, if the Conservatives are going to say, well, we'll look after you. But you look at the pensions and stuff, when they said, well, we're going to ditch pensions, or whatever they said.
Triple on to double on.
There's a reason why they U-turned on it, and it's because they decided, well, people actually aren't going to vote for that, even if they were all hard Brexiters. They're going to vote with their feet.
I wonder, when it came to Brexit, the Remain side always had the economic argument. All the polling showed there was such a big need for what do we think is better for the economy, Leave or Remain. Remain always led, even in polls where the top line figures were saying Leave's winning, usually by only 2-3 points. Within that, people were still saying that they actually think the economic argument was being won by the Remain side. And if you look at Trump and Clinton, voters were also saying that they trusted Clinton more in the economy.
Do you think that the far right has almost gone for a post-economics argument?
Yeah.
And do you think that applies to the old left and Trump? In that they can't quite get over the fact that capitalism is failing. So they have to blame immigrants, there was even one video where they were saying that there were Marxists, that cultural Marxism was to blame, and that there were Marxists in the government, in Hollywood, and everywhere, which I wish was true, but I just don't see it. So to think there's almost like, the West is in decline, so let's try and blame everything else apart from capitalism in itself. And that's the alt-right.
Yeah. I don't really.
The far right in the US, and this is the other major component of the heritage of the alt-right that I think is very important to discuss, is Pat Buchanan and the paleo-conservative movement in the US. And that stretches back to the 90s, where, back in the 90s everyone thought, the economy is it's entering into the era of what we call great moderation. So it was long run, low inflation, low unemployment, long steady growth. And that was the period, really, of the 1990s. And Pat Buchanan's style of paleo-conservatism, which was very much nativist, anti-immigrant, all that kind of stuff, didn't hold any water. But Trump comes along now, post-2008, post 5 years of stagnation, and suddenly those attitudes are widely shared. So is it the situation which we got back in the 1930s, where a period of economic instability, allows these kind of views to get a bit of traction. Because Pat Buchanan himself was telling Time magazine that he actually saw a lot of himself in the Trump campaign. He said that he thought that the campaign he was running in 2016 was almost identical to the one he ran in 1996 on the Reform Party platform.
Yeah. I think I'm just going to go back to talking about the EDL, because I think that they've been associated with kind of the alt-right in this country. Like you look at Porter Watson, I think, retweeted one of Tommy Robinson's tweets the other day.
Yeah.
So would you say that they're alt-right, even though they're not a political party as such?
I mean, I just bunch alt-right and fascist together.
Okay.
That makes it easy for me.
There are specific peculiarities between the two, but the major thing that I think the two of them do share is the concept of national renewal. This idea that things were better back in the day, and the garden's now full of weeds, and what we need to do is de-weed it. We need to sweep away what we think's wrong with it. And both of them consider that problem to be others and the cultural values that the others have.
I mean, do you think like the EDL and so on, they're just carrying out what a lot of messengers in the form of Joseph Paul Watson and Stephen Molyneux, not telling them to do, but saying, well, these are the problem, go and do something about it, and Tommy Robinson is merely an activist?
Yeah. So you could say that, but yeah, I think that it does all come back to the economy. I think that there's a lot of, young, in particular young men, because I think it's kind of an ego thing and a masculinity thing, where it's like, well, I'm not earning as much money as my father was. How come when my mum and dad were getting married at the age of 21, they could go and buy a house? Why can't I do that? And it is just an anger and an inequality.
And ex-mining,
yeah, ex-coal and steel. You look at Sheffield, look at the kind of sentiment there.
Okay, well, we're running out of time, so we'll just cover the election just for the last couple of minutes. Labour surge, scared?
I'm far more comfortable now than I was on Friday. The polls that came out over the weekend have certainly reinvigorated me within the campaign, reinvigorated us. And there's a bit of a psychological peculiarities that are the reasons behind that, which is down to turnout modelling that pollsters take, and the differences between YouGov observation and ICM and Comrades, and the reason why they're coming out with such different leads. Because I mean, the leads are ranging from 5% to 15%.
I mean, this is the worst Tory campaign since pre-David Cameron.
She has played it poorly.
Yeah.
And it's the reason why I think some other faces now, there's a reason Amber Rudd's the one who's going into the debate and not her.
I think that reflects on her very badly. I think that as someone who is a Green voter, I look at that and think, well, you should be going out and getting the votes of all these people. Whereas you look at that, I watched Gogglebox the other day, and the news report was on saying, Theresa May is going to be going to these debates, and they were all like, well, even if I was going to vote for her, now I think, well, she can't debate with Jeremy Corbyn and Caroline Lucas. Essentially debate with anyone else.
Because Labour haven't announced who's actually going to be going to that debate. Because Corbyn said he wouldn't go to it unless she wants to.
I mean, personally, I think Corbyn should go to every debate possible, because I think the more he's in the public limelight, the more people like him personally.
I mean, we're still in a position where, in terms of leader satisfaction, the gap is still bigger than the one that Cameron enjoyed over Miliband. I mean, the gap is about 20 points still. The one Cameron had was about 14 points. And are we getting into a position where, I mean, the increase in approval ratings for Corbyn in recent polls over the last week have plateaued. And Theresa seems to have found her floor. And it seems that we're now getting to the stage where people have decided they've made up their minds whether they like it or not. Because I still maintain that Matt Singh's adjusted modelling, which combines not just headline voting intentions, but a number of other factors, including turnout modelling, leader approval ratings, and historical trends, I would still go with him on what he's saying.
I mean, Maz, you're in tune with the young voter. Do you think that we can swing this? We failed to swing Brexit.
Yeah. Well, yeah, for young people. But no, I think that the TAB did a survey not that long ago, and the results of that came back saying that 30% of students in Sheffield were going to vote Conservative. And it wasn't a small sample of people, it was quite a large sample. And that, I think, was quite shocking. It was quite shocking to a lot of people. But I think, again, it goes back to people saying, you know, I'm really pissed off, basically. And how can we have our voices heard?
I mean, I was surprised at TAB one, but then I looked at where it was at all other universities, and at lots of universities it was around about 30%. It was 30% plus or minus about 5%. And then if you look at national polls, fairly in line with what national polling was saying as well, which is that amongst 18 to 24-year-olds, the Tories are on about 26. But the big thing about this is what the turnout for young people is going to be. Because the difference between Corbyn getting 33% of the polls and getting 38% of the polls will come down to that youth vote and whether it turns out.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think that's good. I've gone over a bit. Tomorrow I have someone from Free Union Sheffield, but I think we're talking about
Good luck.
and they'll be talking about different organisations, not to do with Free Union Sheffield. I've actually seen them around. Where are
They tried to stop Amazon putting lockers in the union.
Right.
So that if you were out of your house, you could say, well, over to locker 201 in the union, and they banned it because it was capitalist. Maybe you agree with that.
I don't know enough about it, no opinion.
I'm all in favour of Amazon lockers.
Yeah. Okay, so see you tomorrow. Anyone that's watching, and please leave a like. I know you're watching out there. I see the viewing statistics. You just keep watching and you're not leaving likes. Okay. Bye, guys. So I'm gonna wave. I have to wave.